Hey everybody, this is the test remediation for block 7. Just the same as usual, we're going to do the left side together, and then you're going to want to do the right side just like the left and show all your work. Okay, so we have two terms here, which means we're going to factor either by dots or the greatest common factor method, and these are not perfect squares, the 6 and the 12 or the x, so we're going to factor by the greatest common factor method. So remember, the greatest common factor method has the greatest common factor here, and we set up one parenthesis. We'll go ahead and bring this sign down. And greatest common factor between 6 and 12 is going to be 6. And then there's an x in both terms, so an x is a common factor, and I want to pick the lowest power. This is a power of 2, and that's a power of 1, so I want to pick the power of 1. So that goes on the outside of the parenthesis. Now, in order to figure out what goes on the inside of the parentheses, I want to divide all of my terms by the greatest common factor. So now 6 divided by 6 is 1, and I subtract powers. So 2 minus 1 is x to the first power. X's here cancel. Please understand that when the x's cancel, there is going to be no x in that term when the x's cancel. So 12 divided by 6 is 2. So the correct answer is D. Okay, if you're listening, write, draw a star next to question number T1. Okay. Sequences, the first thing I want to do is figure out what is my pattern, and my pattern is adding 3. So since I'm adding and subtracting, it is arithmetic. And my formula for arithmetic is a sub n equals a sub 1 plus d parentheses n minus 1. So notice these are geometric, so we know they're out. So we're down to these two. D, the common difference, is 3. And a sub 1 is the first term, it's 2. So we're going to plug in right here. So we've got a sub n equals, the first term is 2. That is added to the common difference that is multiplied by n minus 1. Now, the reason why a lot of folks miss this is because they did a little switcheroo on you. So please understand, the common difference is what's multiplied by n minus 1. It doesn't matter if the 2 is in front or they add 2 in the back. The 2 is added. So you could also write it this way. Okay, so that's one way you can write it. That's a second way to write it. Notice the 3, the common difference, is the one that's multiplied by the n minus 1. So the 3 is multiplied by the n minus 1. D is the correct answer. All right. We are multiplying a binomial times a binomial, so that's a 2 by 2 box. Okay, so we got 4x squared negative 3y. We got 4x squared negative 3y. Okay, I think what threw some people is, don't forget that when we multiply variables, we add the powers, but when we add variables, we do not add the powers. The variable stays the same, and then we just add the coefficients. So just a little mini lesson there. So we're multiplying. 4 times 4 is 16, and now I'm going to add the powers to get x to the 4th. We're going to multiply here. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12, and we keep this x squared y. Here we're going to do negative 3y times 4x squared, and that gives me negative 12x squared y. And then last we're going to do negative 3y times negative 3y. So it's a positive 9, and don't forget we're adding the powers on the y's, so that is y squared. Okay? And now the middle terms are alike, so I can combine them. So when I combine the middle terms, a negative 12 and a negative 12 is a negative 24. And remember, when I'm combining, I leave the variables like they are. So it's going to have an x squared y on it. And then we have a positive 9y squared in the back. And we have a 16x to the 4th in front. So the answer is D. Okay. If you're listening, go ahead and draw a heart right up here next to the question number T3. Okay. Notice we've got some equations here. They're all exponential. It says Larry purchases a car for $6,000. This is the initial value. And that's going to be the A in our formula. Decreases is going to be a minus sign. And 5% we would convert to 0.05. So now let's write our formula. Well, our formula is y equals A parentheses 1 minus R, because it's decreasing, raised to the x. Well, A stands for the initial value, so that's $6,000. 1 minus 5%, but we've got to convert it, take the percent off of it, raised to the x power. Now, I think if this would have been one of your options, y'all may have been fine, but what they did was they combined or simplified this middle. They just did 1 minus 0.05, and that's 0.95 raised to the x. Be very careful, because when you see this decreasing, you want to say this is decreasing by 95%. It is not. It's decreasing by 5%. Okay, so the correct answer was C. So make sure when you're doing this side that you simplify this part here. 1 minus 0.05 is 0.95. And because that's less than 1, that's why I know that it's decreasing. This is your multiplier or your factor. All right. All right, so now we have a line of best fit problem. So let's highlight that. And that means we've got to put this in Desmos to find an approximate line for this data. So first thing we're going to do, and yeah, I want you to write this down, we're going to put it in the table in Desmos. On the next line, we're going to type Y1. We're going to type this tilde mx1 plus b. When we do that, it's going to pop up a box that's going to give us our m and our b. I just want you to write this just so we get used to seeing it. The line of best fit for this, and you need to go in Desmos and go through the motions here. The line of best fit is y equals, the m is 30.26. I need to put an x on that. And the b is negative 2.22. So make sure that you go through the motions in Desmos Put this in, and I want you to write your line of best fit. Now, we have to go one step further. We're going to use this line to make a prediction. Well, they're giving us 15 months, and they want to know how much money that she can expect to have saved in 15 months. So this is an X value. So they're giving us an X value. So what we're going to do next is, on the next line, we're going to type in Desmos X equals 15. Then we are going to find the intersection of these two lines. And you're going to have to zoom out on this. And when you find the intersection, you will find that y equals 451.71, which is approximately $452. Okay? And let's go ahead and draw a flower right here next to the T5. Have a good day.